We'll start with the notices that have been in the paper recently. We had 3 public notices for comment. The first one being the Grace Cottage lease proposal. So I would entertain a motion to approve, where the devil did that go? To approve the Grace Cottage
You want this?
lease proposal as
You got
it's been warned in the paper. Nope, that's grant. That's Fairfield. That's grant. No, I don't have it.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna use that.
Oh, you okay? So then I'll entertain a motion to renew the 25-year municipal land lease agreement with Grace Cottage Hospital, Inc., recorded November 4, 1991, Book 13, page 156, the Townshend General Records upon revised terms for annual rental payments.
So moved.
Is there any discussion on it?
Did that stay at the $750 or did we?
It is at $750.
It is at $750. That was what was in the paper.
Did we ever look at what it would cost for the taxes on a 2-acre piece of property of that nature?
No, we didn't even, I don't think, approach Grace Cottage concerning the contract over whether we would look for higher rent or not. I don't think anything.
No, that's $200.
We did raise the rent from $5 to $750
Oh, okay,
because the
okay.
cemetery commission requested that. They agreed to that, just had a board meeting on Friday.
Okay.
When they were, I don't know if they actually signed it or not, but their lawyers had vetted it, it was okay with them. For full disclosure, Charlie came to me, he's Charlie Marchant, cemetery commissioner, is agreeable as the cemetery commission represented themselves back in June or July, early July, with the $750, but he requested that the board consider maybe making that $750 a 3-year rental or a 5-year rental, something like that, to be revisited after a certain period of time, and then perhaps raised to $1,000, and then perhaps raised to $750 over the course of the problem is that you don't have a 25-year lease then. You get down to having a 3-year lease or a 5-year lease.
Which may be appropriate, I don't know.
Right, we're running out of time. I mean, this has been in the works
Yeah.
since last December and very heavily this summer. It's been in the paper. And the hospital is amenable to the $750, but it's up to the board how it wants to do it. Right now, it's a 25-year lease at $750 annually, payable to the cemetery commissioners.
We may want to revise that, at least the proposal for a 5-year lease,
I'm just not very comfortable at $750 for
25 years.
25 years. I think that is a really long time, and I think that the land for their benefit is worth more than that, quite frankly.
The only thing I would caution is if we don't do this, we've got a window until, I believe, November
4th, I believe,
Was
is
it 4th?
when it was signed. in the
is
book.
when their
I
lease would
think this
expire.
expires
And
on
we would
4th
have
or
to,
the 6th.
we would have to go through all the entire process again of having the public hearings and whatnot to be able to,
So we've got a period of time between now and next meeting to broach them and say that we want to change that to a 5-year lease. I'm just picking 5 years for,
Well, 20, maybe 25 on the, yes, you can use it for 25 and 5 on the cost part.
But the factor of the
Yeah,
lease is the annual payment. If they
is.
don't like the annual.
yeah.
Well, then no.
Oh, no, I mean, it's,
well, okay, if we don't vote to do this, just so all the cards are on the table, then the hospital no longer has the right to use the septic system
After
November 4th
Yeah.
or whatever date.
Unless we reach an agreement with them between now and our next meeting and have that revised to a 5-year lease rather than a 5.
But I don't think we can do,
well, that includes.
we could get an agreement with them, but we still have to take through the whole public process again, like they did the first time. If we're changing the terms, because this is just a renewal.
I got 2 of them. I'm not sure which
With
one's which.
the public notices and everything else, that's pretty substantial time-wise.
You would have to do a public notice, you would have to make a motion to approve, and then I think you have a 45-day waiting period for a petition.
Yeah. So you have until November,
I'm getting it.
beginning of November.
Well, you'd be in the beginning of November, and I don't think you'd stop them from using it, is, you can do it.
Okay, so is there any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor of renewing the 25-year municipal land lease with Grace Cottage Hospital signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? Motion fails. So,
I make a motion that we discuss with Grace Cottage Hospital to, I told you my brain's not working tonight, but what's the word I want? To,
renegotiate?
well, not necessarily renegotiate, but at least have the lease say 5 years rather than 25 years. So adjust the
term, the times.
Yeah, the time,
So
the
it's
term of the lease to be 5 years rather than 25.
So then it won't be a renewal. It would be an entirely new lease
It'll be an
agreement.
entirely new contract, yeah.
Yes, which will have to go through all the legal pieces as well.
And
Well,
if
I'm
you're
not
gonna
sure
do,
if
if you're
you-
gonna do that, I'd recommend 3 years, and that avoids all the public hearings, because you can engage for 3
For
years.
3
without-
years, yeah.
5 years, you gotta go through the machinations with the public.
So if you'd done it now for 3 years, you wouldn't have to go through all the hearings and all of that, right?
Right. The reason for a lot of this is because it extends beyond this board's term and the tenured term of any member on the board.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense not to hobble any future boards or whatever else is going on.
At the same time, you don't have to revisit it. I didn't even know it was out there because it was signed in 1991. It just
Yeah.
came due last year,
Yeah.
so, for renewal. And to be honest, they dropped it off early, when was it, November? It was before Thanksgiving.
So they gave us plenty of
They
time.
Oh, they gave us
They
plenty
gave
of
us a
time.
year.
I put it before a lawyer, and
Yeah.
we didn't get much feedback on that until late this spring, and then I worked with the hospital a little bit and worked with the cemetery commission, and we've had it on the agenda. It's been out for discussion. Rob brought up, the question of the payments. The cemetery commissioners came in, made a request. We ran that past the hospital, and they were amenable to that. They recognized that 500 annually was maybe a little light, considering that's what they've been doing since 1991.
So I'd make a motion that we propose a 3-year lease for the, wastewater system? Grace Cottage,
It really just
The
says
title.
municipal land lease agreement.
municipal land lease agreement with Grace Cottage on a 3-year term.
Second.
Okay, in the discussion phase, can I ask who's going to do that and how we're going to go about doing that?
Well, I think that we just adjust that time span and propose it, call Grace Cottage and say, this is what the board is proposing. I mean, we're not gonna change any of the other stuff in it. And if it's in a 3-year thing, you don't have to wait and go through all of that.
I just don't remember the
Warnings
language
and
of
all
the
that,
contract
but-
well enough to know if it would change anything.
Want to look at it?
No, not right now.
No, probably not. No.
Okay,
Yeah,
so-
the copy.
So then, all those in favor of approaching Grace Cottage with a proposed 3-year, let's see, I guess we call it municipal land lease, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Then moving on, the next one would be the Sovereign Solar lease ratification. And this is for the lease for the old dump, the solar farm that's out on the old dump. We need to ratify that because a 25-year lease was in fact signed. 25, was it? 30. 30-year lease was signed, and we never had the public actual ratification. We had public discussion, but not ratification, or not hearings. So now the board needs to ratify that piece.
This was advertised in the paper, and actually what they're leasing is only about an acre of land.
Right.
Plus minus, we never really measured it off, but it's about an acre of land where the solar array is and the access to it.
So I would entertain a motion to ratify a 30-year municipal land lease agreement with Sovereign Solar, recorded August 7th, 2014, book 109, page 886 of the Townshend Land Records.
So move.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving, or all those in favor of ratifying a 30-year municipal land lease agreement with Sovereign Solar Inc., signify by saying aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. We have one other, and this really isn't anything for us to do. We just need to acknowledge that an application has been submitted and will most probably be signed for a 10-year recertification of the Townshend Transfer Station with the Vermont Department of Environmental Conservation. Say that 5 times. Solid Waste Management Program until September 30, 2025. That's just for general information. That's up to the state to actually issue that permit.
We have put that out as a notice, we have notified the abutters, everybody has, it has been published in the newspaper. Any comments or petitions would go directly to the Department of Environmental Conservation, and they will make their decision within, I think, 3 days here. Our deadline, I think, is August 27th, or, 26th or 27th. So anyway, we should be okay to go, as far as I hear, on that.
Any other questions? All right, then moving on, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from August 2nd, 2016.
So move.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from August 2nd, 2016, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
Then the chair votes in the affirmative. Motion passes. Additions and deletions. I've got a whole slew of correspondence. So we'll put them in order. The first one is
Is this
on.
under correspondence or?
This is correspondence. This is actually additions and deletions. So the first one is already on under new business. We're gonna move it up under correspondence, and that would be the integrated solar, 138 kilowatt solar field farm that's going to be installed out at Mary Meyer. The second one would be the health officer's correspondence. The third would be the Brookline Hazard Mitigation Plan. And the fourth is a note from Valley Cares. Is there any other addition or deletion to the agenda?
Let's see, I get that, I get that.
No? No, okay, then moving on. Mr. Bostrom?
Yes, good evening. Basin has completed their crushing down a bit. They put the safety berms back up. They did a great job. Great bound material. I talked to Susasimos about winter sand. We've got to start thinking about that. They're holding it for the same price. It's to be the same price for the past 3 years. $13.50 per yard delivered. They keep it the same price. Last meeting, you wanted me to talk to Matt Mann and also Everett Hammond about the inventory infrastructure. And Matt said that don't worry about it. It'll, like in case of an audit, it's going to be audited at the end. Everything will be done because that's going to do it the same way for every town. Just hand them the folder. Everything will be done the right way for the audit.
So in other words, he's taking responsibility for the paperwork.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, did you find out from Mr. Hammond what his price would be?
Yes, I did. I have it right here.
What did he come back with?
His final number, $3,950. $2,950.
Okay, so in other words, and what's the difference? What's the price difference between the two individuals as far as what you're going to have for a product?
Well, they're gonna address the same ones, conditions and assessments. Like he has a knockoff meeting, assessment and trips with me would be 12 hours. Review data, capital program, that's gonna be done with them also. He's gonna do a colored map when the regional does the maps also. It's pretty much the same thing. He has to meet the same criteria for the inventory as as Wyndham Regional has to, so.
Did we ever actually get the price from Wyndham Regional? I don't ever remember seeing anything, I've seen the grant paperwork. but
I got that, on the grant, the price on the grant was from Wyndham Regional.
Was from Wyndham Regional.
Yes,
So Amber's about a third.
We've got a third.
but, I mean, all we have to do is, our in-kind labor matches, is our match for that.
Right.
Everything else we pay for that, right? And either which way, I have to work with Everett, according to this, 12 hours inventory. They, kickoff meeting with me, kickoff meeting with probably the town clerk, because that's what they want. And not the town clerk, but, yeah, probably Craig. But there'd be, my time is also, has to be included with this too, so.
Well, Hammond was 7,400 last year. I mean, a year ago, he was gonna do it November, December. And,
Wonder
And it's
why
just-
it's so different.
I don't know how where he's working full-time for the town of Hartford now. So I don't know when he would wanna do this. Or how we wanna do it. I'm sure he'd get it done, but I don't know how we would meet my time at 6 to 2:30 every day.
Well, as I've said, and one of the reasons I asked about this was because of the grant conditions and the fact that we did just go last week through the audit with V-Trans. I think before we sign any more grants, I think we need to establish what the procedure is going to be for keeping track of the details of those individual grants, be it labor, be it vehicle use, be it supplies, whatever. We're gonna have to establish some kind of a system in-house so that that information comes to one place and is kept accessible for these individuals from the state that do come down, rather than having to piece together minutes and budgets and check stubs and all these other,
Sure.
Particularly with time cards for in-kind work.
You know, I have sheets from FEMA, you know, forced labor and stuff like that have everything, every breakdown of material, every breakdown of machine and stuff like that, which is already made up. So if I did that per project, then it would be done.
that's what this is gonna need, especially when the in-kind labor, you know, is counting for
Sure.
our portion.
And it would, for example, using your labor in particular on the network inventory, if we could have a separate time card specifically devoted to,
And now we have a time clock, we could
you know, specifically to the amount of time you're working on that project. That way we can document your time without having to go back and look at the little written page to see how long you were out,
Sure.
et cetera. So I think if we can establish a system that will meet the state's needs as far as these audits go and whatnot, it's not such an onerous task, but I still am a little bit concerned about the difference in cost between
And
Wyndham Regional and Hammond.
it doesn't make sense, does it? I mean,
Well, it's cost from last time to this time too.
that's what I'm saying. The product, I'm concerned about what we get in the end for the product.
But now that he's working full-time for the town of Hartford, I don't know when he's gonna do it, time-wise during the week.
Okay, well, we'll come back to that and actually take a vote on it. Why don't you go ahead with the rest of your report?
There's a meeting for the towns that Matt Mann strongly recommends that we go to. It's a workshop on grants. It's September 6th and September 8th. A letter of support is required from Wyndham Regional Transportation Committee. Please plan to attend meeting at 4:30 to discuss the application.
Is that through Wyndham Regional?
Yeah, Wyndham Regional. Yes, Transport Alternatives TA Grant Program announcement letter. But he strongly suggests we go to this, somebody does it. And I'm on here and you're not on here, right? No, he sent it to me. But if I go to this, I'd like somebody to go with it also who does the paperwork, a lot of that paperwork. To keep us ahead of the demands on grants.
Well, and again, they're not going to get better, they're only going to get worse.
Absolutely.
Terry, are you familiar with what that's about? Because it's going on in Jamaica also, right?
The grant?
Yeah,
And the
I mean, that
paperwork?
meeting that he's
I'll have to
talking.
ask Keith, I don't know, I have not heard of that.
The only thought was, and I don't know if you're in a position where Jamaica's gonna request you to go.
Okay.
Just in that case, it could be, you know, a double thing if that's,
I'll find
I
out.
mean, it just makes sense that way to me.
The mower, I got the contract for the mower. It was supposed to come in August. They messed up on their, because they've been telling me August the salesman no longer works for them. And I ended up giving the contract to you guys to be signed, so we can, did you guys receive it?
Contract has not been signed.
It has not been signed. I hope we sign it so we can get the mower next week.
Well, let me just reiterate some things, and we may as well do this in order. I have a copy of the minutes when we actually asked you to go and set up the mower for this year. And that actually was, you were instructed to do so on October 19th.
I did.
And I know you've repeatedly told the board that in fact, the mower was gonna be in August.
Yes.
And I understand there was a confusion with the salesman and whatnot, which is okay, that those things do happen. But I think the biggest thing that bothers me about this entire process is, did you even talk to Tenco this year?
Tenco?
Yeah.
Yes.
So in October of last year, when you were trying to set up this mower, you did talk to
Oh, yeah.
Tenco?
Because I've never done business with Fairfield before as far as mowers. And the Tenco was the first people I called at the time.
Then, was the mower not available at that
It was
time?
not available at that time.
So they'd already booked the entire year?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the price difference between the two
Is more from
is
Fairfield.
$1,500.
Yes.
And you start breaking that out in man hours and it gets to be a pretty hefty per mile charge.
I agree with you.
And then to have it not being here in August when Bob was here by himself and could have easily been started his route, has just really left a really sour taste in everybody's mouth at this point in time.
September's a short month.
Yeah, it is. You know, with the holiday and whatnot, you're only gonna have it for, well, less than your month, so to
Less than
speak.
3 weeks.
Less than 3 weeks.
That's 18 working days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you count the working days because of the holiday. So, I'm a little bit concerned that, next year, when we start talking about
We should do
mowing.
it right
and
now.
what- Well, not, I know you've already talked to Fairfield. Evidently, we have a letter here that says you've already put your request in. I would like to see bids for both.
No, I didn't put a request in. I said tentatively, put us down there and I'll see what the board says. And I'll see what that, because I didn't
Well,
put a
you better
request
make
in for
that
next
clear, because
year.
that's certainly not the way it was transmitted.
No, I did not lock it in for next year.
Because I think you actually need to see what's going on with Tenco. That's a substantial price difference between the two, and we're going to have to start, as you know, because of the error that was made,
Right.
we're going to have to start watching some of the pennies, and that's a good place to watch some pennies. So, next
Well,
year,
We have to mow every year.
I'm not saying you can't mow. I'm saying that you need to put it out to bid and follow the procedure, because this is a substantial amount of money.
We did put it out for bid last year. Remember what happened last year?
Yeah, it didn't
You
get done.
you didn't get it.
No,
Yeah.
we accepted the bid because I mow 2 years with a tractor and then 2 years with, have somebody mow.
Yeah.
We rent 2 years because we get all the woody stuff.
He was supposed to know when they were.
He never mowed.
Well, that's last year's problem.
Right, but that's how this all started.
This year's problem is we're already behind the 8 ball.
Because we didn't mow
It's
last
costing us, Kurt, we're supposed to mow in August of 2016.
Right.
We're supposed to mow in 2015, too.
Right.
You're right. But we're worried about 16 right now. It was supposed to happen in August.
I agree with you.
We were told that it was happening in August for a certain amount of money, or what should be. Now it's above the amount of money and we're on to September. It's like, how do we get this screwed
No,
up?
that was the
How
same-
do we
that was the
get,
same amount of money in August. It was more than 10 in August, but we didn't receive in August.
Right, the contract is very, very specific. It's $8,900 and that includes delivery for
Right.
Fairfield.
And Fairfield and Tenco did not include delivery. That's the only thing.
Yeah, I remember getting into that.
is there a difference in the machines?
No, they're both 22-foot arms, like 130 horsepower tractors.
Let me just throw another question in. someone had told me that the state contracts to have the state highways done,
Yes, they do.
and those folks would contract with towns to do the towns while they're in there. Do you know who that
Never.
is and how to,
Never knew any of that. No.
that's what I heard through rumors. So another year, I know it's a little late now, but you might wanna put that in your book or in your plate or immediately
To get it lined up.
get it lined up or at least get a price for what that's about. But I heard, and I forgot now who it was, but
'Cause I don't know
some
other
towns,
I don't know other towns that do that around there.
I don't either, but there should be some way to find out. I don't know how.
I can call,
That's some,
it's easy to call.
but it's certainly worth looking into if they're doing the state highways and if they wanna do the town roads while they're coming through. I'd heard that from somebody we were talking about mowing. And I don't have all the particulars, but at least, that's worth looking at for another year before we sign a contract or even talk about Fairfields for another year. I'm not happy with Fairfield, the way they've presented themselves and being a month out and whose fault it is and why the fault is and all that, irregardless. It just doesn't seem appropriate to me.
Well, we're getting later and later and later.
You got your back against the wall.
Well,
now,
you're getting
kind of.
into the fall, you're getting into your paving, you're getting into numerous other projects.
Yeah.
And only so many things can be attended to at once.
Right.
So I'm afraid we're gonna get snow on the ground and ain't gonna have our projects done.
Okay, so is there anything else that you had specifically for us?
Question. Paving is, yeah, you know that paving is happening next month. No, that's about all the stabilization on the grant for Plum Hill.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for the poles and the guy wire to be moved. I'm still waiting for that to be moved.
That particular project, again, the contract is here, or the grant application, or grant.
We haven't done it yet, we haven't accepted the grant, so if you wanna talk about that, we can. Megan from, Brunk called the other day and she wanted to know if I wanted to write up an RFP for that, if we want to have somebody else do the work with a bigger machine or another machine or whatever, they'll help us do it. I said, well, we were planning on doing it, that was the whole thing. But I can't do
So that looks
it.
like it's probably not gonna happen.
If I don't get the pole, if they don't move the pole and the guy wire, I can't do the job. Because it's right in the middle of the site,
Who's responsible for that?
telephone company,
Do you call them on a daily basis?
not on a daily basis now.
I'd ask that you. You're a real pain in the butt, tell them this, once again, we're gonna be.
I called them and told them our plan and project and stuff, and they came right out and staked it off. Wrote on the stakes, and that was it.
Yeah.
And I've called them since,
Sometimes a little bit,
being a pain.
we've got equipment coming in, and those poles are coming down, you might wanna save yourself some work or something, I don't know.
Well, but again, if we do decide to sign that grant and things work out, that one in particular, because of the materials and the vehicles that are used on that one, is going to have to be documented
Like we talked.
almost to the T. And you're gonna need mileage, you're gonna need all kinds of garbage on those. So, are you saying at this point in time that we should not sign that contract, or
That grant,
that grant?
does it have a date on it to sign on it?
It does.
When is it?
Well, it has an expiration date, but
I don't know which
it's
one
not
it
a
is.
two signed by. It's 11,410, project TH32, Plum Hill Road. It doesn't expire for over a year.
Right. So we have,
It doesn't even tell you which grant it is.
It does at the very, very top, upper right-hand corner.
That's
I
what
wrote
I'm
it.
looking- You wrote it.
Of course I did.
I was looking for it in
No,
the actual
actually,
writing.
so you wouldn't get confused.
Oh,
But the standard grant agreement is basically the same thing.
yes, it does. Where do you see a date?
It's in the, I believe,
This-
well, it's the standard grant agreement, it runs out, let's see. If work is completed after September 15th, exposed areas must be stabilized, blah, 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 blah.
I don't see the date.
What was the actual grant? Okay. I think we have until December 2017.
Yeah, but you're not gonna do that work after, well, 1st of November anyhow, right?
All
October.
depends how the weather goes. You never know. Last year, we did the ditch up by Bill Joyce's right before Thanksgiving, remember?
I know it.
That worked out so.
You have more faith than I. I try sometimes.
Have you found the date yet?
I'm working on it.
I could see it.
If you don't have to sign it right away to put in, hold off on it, keep it on the back burner and send it in.
When is the paving start?
I'm probably
The award end date is 12/31/2018.
12/31.
18,
It's on that sheet.
it's on the little sheet. And you can't
It's on
see.
the actual grant agreement sheet. Not the one you signed, but the one with the Dunn's registration. Now, I may be looking at a network inventory grant. That one may be different. In fact, I think I am. BR 52. Yeah, I'm looking at the network inventory is 2018. Do you have the grant for the Plum Road? Because I don't.
I
just have this
do,
one.
but I don't know where on that.
Okay,
folder you found it.
right dead center, 3 lines down, award end date,
Okay, 12/31/17.
17, okay, so 17 on that one.
Okay.
The network is 18. So we get a year, 14 months.
So we'll hold off on that one until you get back to us on it.
Sure. But the inventory one, of course, we have to do.
Well, we're gonna have to decide
Yeah.
which way we wanna go. We can apply for the grant, yes,
All right.
but as far as who's going to actually do the work, we're gonna have to discuss. So that's all you had for us?
It is.
Then? Okay, I've got a couple of questions for you more than anything.
Okay.
The first one is a payroll question. And you had to cover for Arnold, I'm assuming
Yes.
that when he had a family matter to attend to. We went into an interesting discussion about what to do with you. Well, you know, what do we do with it? It had to do with the fact that you worked a 40-hour week,
Yes.
and then you worked, what, 6.5 hours at the dump?
Yes.
Does that constitute overtime?
Because I look at it now. If you don't pay me overtime, it's a favor to Arnold, because he had to go to his brother's funeral.
Okay, the point isn't so much whether or not you got the overtime, you did, by the way. The point here is, if at all possible, could you try to have somebody working at the casual labor rate, as opposed to us having to decide what to do with you? And it was a discussion at this
Yeah,
table.
it was, and I think the discussion was
Well-
because the compactor's under the Department of Highways and
Right.
you're overseeing it, and federal law talks about anything beyond 40 hours. So it's, I mean, it gets
Well, I asked-
something that we
I asked
really
my
have to
father-
follow.
Corey, my father-in-law, has covered, but Corey hasn't been feeling well, so he did not want to sit there all the time.
But if you've got.
The
if
guys
you've got
did not
lead
want to
time-
do it, so, huh?
If you've got some lead time, if you could find somebody that would just work
Mm-hmm.
at the casual labor rate, that would be really helpful, and it would save a lot of headaches. Here, beating our heads against the wall, trying to figure out what the rate should be. Okay, that's the first one I had.
And just to correct a quick statement there, the compactor, waste management is all under the general fund, not the highway.
But it's
And-
under
and the
manage-
wages.
But it's under the management of the highway.
It is.
It is, right, it is, well, the foreman supervises the
We
transfer
had
station.
this discussion when we talked about whether
Yep.
we had to pay overtime or not.
But all
I don't care
the
if we have
compactor
to.
costs are in the general fund for the town's side of it, but, as Kurt worked a 40-hour week, he would be working his 7th day or his 6th day, so that would be overtime.
Okay, the other one has to do with a warrant tonight that Kyle's currently using as a table. Can you find the last warrant in that
Yep.
list, please? That. Would you clarify something for me on the equipment?
Sure.
This is on your truck, the little truck. And we received a bill that you had coded right for cores and pump assemblies.
Cords and pump assembly?
Pump,
Oh, pump, yes.
okay? So did you get 2 pumps?
No, I got a pump and a pump hydro boost.
Well, we sat here today to this evening, scratching our head, trying to figure out what we were supposed to be paying and what we were not. Because we have two bills, one that says pay this amount,
Yep.
they both say pay this amount. One is for $262, which seems to be a pump assembly and a core.
Power steering pump, yeah.
And then we have another one that has the pump assembly, the core, and the booster assembly.
I just got the booster assembly.
Right, but the pump and the core are listed twice.
They're listed twice. That was the,
Oh, on that, you know why? Because the booster assembly was bad. The pump failed because of the booster assembly cavitating. And I sent Ed down, and I sent Bob down to pick it up. And they put it on the same PO number, so they probably made out a new slip.
okay, so then,
There's only one bill then?
It's only one bill,
so that 778.22 is correct.
yes.
And the two,
And it should be $6 core on the pump like that.
$60.
$60.
$60?
But that's going back?
That's gonna go back as soon as I can get. I'm not gonna make a special trip out of it.
No.
No, but there was just a lot of confusion because it
They
was
put
here
that,
twice.
they put both of those things on the same PO number. Okay. So it's one bill.
Okay, so that should be correct then. Okay,
Okay.
yeah, that took care of that problem. I just was very confused. There's one piece of
And
paper.
I'm coding everything now with that code circle.
Well, I said, that was just a lot of confusion and nobody could quite understand what was going on. The next thing I have is, as soon as I can write my name, because I can't talk and write at the same time. Don't confuse me. Is the Sterling.
Yes.
And it has come to my attention that the Sterling in the last year and a half has had 296 miles put on it. Now, if we're not going in, that's actual mileage. If we're not going to use it, is it time to sell it? Is it time to get rid of it?
well, I didn't have the discussion because when we decided to keep it, they were supposed to use it. And obviously you're not using it. It's sitting
You
there.
haven't used it really to haul with that. No.
And part of why we kept it was so we didn't put a lot of miles on the new one to use the old one. That's what we had asked you to do, and I thought we were really clear about that, and it hasn't been done.
So that's something we do need to address.
Well, I kind of feel like I'm spit in the face. That's what I feel like, because we sat here, we were very specific. Why we didn't sell that, because of what Delury done to us.
Right.
All right? So we decided to keep it so we could keep the new truck longer. Instead, Ed beats the piss out of that new truck, and you haven't used the Sterling like we asked you. And that's a kick right square in the face. And it's not okay.
And we also asked you before if you guys were using it. Oh, yeah,
Yep,
we're using
yep,
it.
yep,
You just
yep,
check
they
roads
said,
with
yep,
it, whatever,
we're
we don't
using
really
it.
haul
Yeah,
it.
but it would have been pretty nice to use it for trucking a lot of the gravel that you guys have trucked without having the sander and the plow and the wing on it and all the other stuff. And it would have worked fine to use it all summer, truck whatever you want with it. And then had it for a backup as a plow for when the new truck has very limited miles and the warranty work goes.
I see that now.
But we asked you, and you know
did.
that that we wanted you to use it.
And you haven't.
Kind of sort of slipped in there.
No, like I said, with the
Well, it can't slip your mind. I mean, it weighs
Now,
16,000 pounds, sits in a
getting back to
garage.
the new truck. I think you use a new truck. We never ever go out of the warranty with mileage on a new truck. It's always time wise. You know what I mean?
You guys have a way of breaking it more than wearing mileage out on it.
The new truck.
Any of it, just wear,
But do you know what I'm saying? So you use a new truck under the warranty because, yes, trucks break. They do break.
But Kurt, you sat right here and said, oh yeah, we're using it. Yep, we're using it.
Oh, you know why? You know why the dashboard don't work on that truck?
Always something.
I'll bring it for right in. The speedometer does not work on that truck. And we brought it over, actually last year, the year before, to L&B, and they fixed it, and it failed again. So it's got to be more than 200.
Always an excuse why you don't do what we asked.
We'll go on the time, no, always. Go on the timesheets and we'll look at when we've used that truck, because Bob used it quite a few times last year. I used it once last year, plowing snow on a route one time, and we've used it more than 290 miles and I'll show you that the dashboard, the electronics on it, has failed. And I could probably find LMB has worked on that dashboard, on this girl.
That was just based on the mileage from the Patriot bill when it went in for the major repairs a year and a half ago.
Yeah,
And the mileage is currently showing right now is that's.
290 miles, I believe it.
That's the difference. All right, I think that's everything. Oh, no, it's not. Oakwood
Which
Cemetery.
makes me feel good that you don't trust me and you don't ask me. You automatically assume we don't use that truck, and we have used that truck. And Bob has actually used that truck the most because his truck has been probably the most problem.
Okay, now, transition again. Oakwood Cemetery.
Yes.
Okay, I'm very confused. I know at the last meeting, there was a lot of discussion about that particular issue. Which culvert is actually ours? The one that goes under the cemetery road, is that
It
correct?
crosses the road, correct, yes.
Okay, now, the state culvert is a concrete culvert that comes over behind the elementary school and across?
Yes, and it feeds that culvert.
Okay, when was our culvert put in? Do you know?
I haven't, that was long before.
Long time
I was
ago?
ever here.
Okay. Do you have any idea roughly? I know for a fact that the cement culvert was put in when Harold Newell was the boy because he told me that he used to play in it. So it's been there a while. Does the state maintain that their portion of that culvert?
Yes,
They do maintain it.
of that, yeah, but then it goes through the yard of Jeffers, yes.
So it comes across and then goes into Jeffers.
Mhm.
That seems to be where we're running into difficulties to some extent.
Well,
The trash and
I
the
think that
debris and stuff is coming out of.
you got all that stuff behind the school. It
Yeah.
comes, you have all that woods there. It comes all the way from like Mary Myers all the way down through the back there. And,
The west side of the street.
exactly, yeah.
But all-
So you got all
I
this.
mean,
feeding
half
back.
of Townsend dumps in there.
And it's not really the state culvert, it's a bigger culvert than ours, and our culvert hasn't failed, it's never plugged or anything. It's just where it dumps out is the whole problem.
That's right.
Okay, but the point is, the point I'm trying to get at, or try to figure in my own head, is when the current owner bought the property, was it in the condition it's in now? That's what I want to ask. In other words, all the culverts were in place, or not?
Everything was there, yeah.
Okay, so nothing's changed. We haven't changed the landscape, we haven't changed the culverts, what did you just do recently?
I cleaned out the end of the culvert with a backhoe, and she asked me to clean into her field a little bit, which I did.
Okay,
And, I mean, not that far away from the culvert. Try to transition it so it would, without going into her field a long ways, because that's way out of our right of way, but I have to clean the end of the culvert. And, we seeded it, and we ate it, and that was it.
okay, so like I said, I really now know who owns what pieces of that.
And then we
We
came
put a
back.
hole in the stone wall across her. with a
Yep,
little
I
piece
gave her a new short piece of culvert for the stone wall. I did do that, yeah, one of the cutoffs we had. And, but when we left her, the field was intact, except for the area that we had dug out there and took the trash and sand out of there. And then it just,
But what did you actually dig out, when you worked out there, did you dig out within the state right of way, or were you on her property?
the town right away?
He was on the town road, reaching
Town road, yeah.
Reaching over, okay, okay. Alright,
So the issue is,
Yeah.
again, she wants a swale dug across her property,
Which
right?
it would help our culvert.
Which would help and save us money in the long run, because the culvert is here and the swale is up here.
Yes, it is.
So now we have a settlement pond, so everything that, the trash, debris or whatever comes through the state culvert down across Jeffers settles into our culvert,
Like
right?
that
And,
before, yeah.
and that's how it gets plugged. So our discussion last time when Miss Angel was here was if we dug a swale, and she's perfectly willing to have us do that, across her property, it would run down and keep our culvert clear.
Correct.
Am I right?
okay.
So it's gonna save us in the long run, in actuality.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
My opinion
I
is-
Culvert with machines since I've been here.
Yeah.
I shoveled it up, I've never had a machine in there.
But my opinion was, it had Miss Angel not even asked us, we might have been right asking her if we could make the swale anyhow.
Eventually, yes.
Eventually, because it's just gonna,
Keep piling up.
it's gonna keep piling up and it's gonna make our runoff appropriate.
Right.
That's all I needed to know. I just needed to have a better understanding of what was
How many
ours and
years
what
you
was
figure
not.
that would be before it would ever get to the point? I mean, what I'm getting to is that you're talking, you know, that's just hypothetical that, okay, it's gonna help or it's not gonna. It's a downhill grade from the culvert down the hill.
No, it's not.
Well, no, it
How
flats
do you
out.
figure it's not? Go look at it.
Well, I did look at it, and the culvert is lower than that rise, where she said that we could do a swale. We should do a site visit, you can go look at it, am I right or wrong, Kurt? That culvert sets
There's
down,
not much, yeah.
and it'll have to run uphill to come out of the culvert, that's why the
Run
culvert's out
uphill.
of the
It's gotta
debris.
go.
I'll go look at it.
This
with
is
you
where I'm
anytime you
getting
want.
really confused.
Well, I'll make a motion that we, do whatever you do, let's go over and look at it and we'll see. Wanna go over and look?
So moved.
Right now,
Yep, right now.
I'd
I
rather
think we
not.
need to settle this thing. I mean, it's, even Kirk says it, it's gonna save us in the long run.
So,
All
yeah,
that
it'll
debris
eventually-
stuff that's
it'll
in the
eventually-
culvert,
Yeah, but, you know, it wasn't plugged, but it was
it's gonna be.
2/3
Okay, there's a motion on the table. Is there a second for it?
Yeah. Rob seconded.
Rob seconded?
Yeah.
All those in favor of,
Take it, Phil.
For, you know, no discussion, that's all done.
yeah, basically,
Alright.
all those in favor of, I guess postponing the meeting while we take a field or see, do a site visit, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, we're going to take a,
At 10 minutes of 7.
yeah,
Walk over.
and I can't tell you when we're gonna be back, Richard, so have a good enough time. So I'm gonna reconvene the meeting at 7:05. So, does somebody wanna begin this discussion with a motion?
I make a motion that we instruct the highway foreman to, get written permission from the landowner to do the drainage ditch as we had discussed and the highway foreman suggested to on Cemetery Road Culvert.
Okay, is there a
I don't
second?
wanna belabor it.
Okay, is there any discussion? None? All right. Then all those in favor of, how did he phrase that?
Instruct the
To
highway-
instruct the foreman to get written permission from the landowner, basically to improve the swale across the property.
So all those in favor of that, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So I'm gonna break the tie. I'll vote with the majority and say yes.
Carries.
Okay, so there's your answer. Now, when it's gonna happen, I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
Leave the dates open.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much today, so.
Well, Kurt will have to,
Yeah, I know, I'm just glad that it's going to be done. And I do have a comment to make. I felt very angry when I left here the other night because I felt as though there was a mild accusation of my wanting to use town personnel to do work on my property. And I had outlined a whole lot of things that I have always done and paid for on my own that as a result of town action, because I border town property all around me. And I have never asked the town to do anything for me. As a matter of fact, I have paid people to work on my property to remove brush that's really from the town property, always. So I do not want anybody to think that I would ever ask the town personnel especially to do something for me. I want that on the record. Good. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye-bye.
All right.
Are we still on the highway?
Well, yeah, we haven't got off yet. We have to decide what to do about the 2 grants. What would you like to do? What do you want to say?
Well, I mean, the Plum Hill grant's a necessity, right? We have to do that. That whole bank is sliding down.
Well, but he
the
also
road.
said to wait at this point in time. He's not.
So,
You have until December 2017 to do it. He said that Megan Brunk from District 2 called wanting to know if he wanted help with an RFP to contract that out to somebody else with an excavator, as opposed to doing it in-house with backhoe and dump trucks. He still thinks they can do it. I'm not sure when.
see,
I'm not sure what's involved.
that's what I was hoping he'd come back in the meeting, but
It's a small, he estimated the cost at about 13,000, we got a grant for 11, somewhere along in there. And town use of equipment, but and he's waiting for Fairpoint to move the telephone pole and a guy
He
wire.
said not to sign it, so
yeah.
just
He
take it.
said to hold off on that one. The other one that she referred to on the network inventory, Hammond last year was $7,400 or thereabouts. I could look at the paperwork. This year he's under 3 to do the job. Matt Mann wants to do it, but he helped Kurt put together a grant for $8,000, and that's on the grant. We have in-kind matching because Kurt has to contribute to it. And the reason you turned down Hammond last year is because you thought that Kurt would do it himself in-house. This is a highway
Yep.
department job.
Yep.
And other towns do it themselves. But anyway, we do have the grant in front of you. And he did get although I didn't see anything, he did get something from Mr. Hammond, who is a civil engineer and who can assess the bridges and the roads and the culverts and.
And technically, it would be, we really wouldn't need the grant with,
$3 grand, you know.
well, but I'm saying even so, the matching in kind on that $11,000 grant was about that, wasn't it? Wasn't it 20%?
Yeah, he estimated at 13, 14. I mean, I've got the original paperwork here somewhere.
Right.
But it was
so-
13, 14, the grant was gonna be for
For 11.
80% of it or 85% of it, something like that, 11, the grand amount. And
So that's what he quoted us price-wise is technically our share, what we're gonna have to pay, Hammond, or,
Wyndham Regional.
Man, that man.
And you've, not to bring this into it, but you've had some questions about the Wyndham Regional billing with the federal share and how that
How that
plays out,
works
but
out, yeah.
that's not germane at this point.
So that's the only one right now that we have to decide whether or not we're going to sign, or whether we're just gonna accept, what we received from Mr. Hammond and just pay the bill.
I'd like to see something in writing, something
I
specified as to what
certainly
he's
would
going to
too.
do before.
Although Kurt seemed to have paperwork, because he was reading from something.
Well, you need a contract with him as well.
Yeah,
And
we
you'd
would.
wanna look at that to make sure that he was actually gonna do the job and sign off. But if he did the job for 3, then you wouldn't get involved in this having to, you just submit the final documentation to the state and have them approve it. But you wouldn't be tied into a grant and, looking for reimbursement and accounting for it and so on and so forth.
So what's your pleasure? Do you wanna think about it? Do you wanna ask for paperwork from Kurt? What would you like to do? Okay. It's gonna be one of those nights, I can tell.
Just table it to the next meeting.
Want to just table?
Sure. Good
I
to
think-
know.
Well, the reason, part of the reason it expired in the first place is because Wyndham Regional wasn't doing it anymore. And now that there's money on the table, they are. Which seems a little,
But I think we need to ask Kurt for some, whatever information he has from Mr. Hammond, so
Yeah.
we can compare apples and oranges. Is that everybody agreeable to that?
Yeah.
All right, so I don't have to sign either one of those, that's good. Law enforcement, you saw the
No,
bill?
no, can I
Whoops.
I just want to speak to Highway, and I wanted to address this with Kirk. And if my memory serves me right, we've addressed it with him before, but I believe that there were 2 men gone on vacation at the same time, leaving 1 man there. And we had asked that in time management, that he does not schedule vacations that way. That we discussed about having 1 man working town garage alone, and even had the mower been here. If you got one man up on top of wherever, and he tips the tractor over, and you ain't got nobody to radio, you haven't got anything. We talked to him about the safety concern, about having two people out on vacation at the same time, and I think we need to at least have that on the agenda to address it with him in the future. There's several different aspects of safety and time management and how that people working together works. From my standpoint, it's not okay to have both guys out on vacation at the same time. I don't know how the rest of you feel, but that's, and I think that we addressed this one other time. You might even want to.
It's been addressed
It's been
numerous
addressed
years.
numerous times.
It's even in the policy for scheduling vacations so that they, well, they make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, for safety point of view as well, with a 3-man crew kind of thing. It is in the policy, and things are gonna come up where people call in sick, and you may be stuck with somebody, but
Once
for
in a while,
longer
not
terms, right.
scheduling vacations.
Yeah, for weeks
Ain't
off.
okay. I mean, again, it's the same thing. We ask them to do something, and so I'll talk to the wall.
Okay, did you have anything else?
No.
Okay.
Well, I do, but we'll do it in executive with him.
Okay. Moving on to law enforcement, I believe there was a bill in this batch for our most recent law enforcement, having the state police come down, patrol. I've had no communications from any of the officers, so I'm assuming things are going well. Town clerk, you should have gotten a counter money sheet showing the amount of money that's come in. And the treasurer, Mr. Dana.
You have in the checking account, $1,132,010.63. And so far this month, on taxes, we have deposited $515,859.
Well, it's always nice when it comes in, too bad it has to go back out. Are there any questions for Jeff? Okay, then I just would like to point out that we're scheduled with the independent audit right now on October 24th through the 29th. That was with McSorley McCoy that we accepted the last time, so that will be in the works before
The
too much.
contract is signed. It's a multi-year contract. Those were their tentative dates, and we're trying to lock them down, but they look like pretty good dates for them and for us, so
Okay, moving
set those in place.
on to the warrants.
So, I guess as long as we're talking about treasurer, and I'd like to maybe hear from the bookkeeper how things are going in that office and what's going on. That's why we asked you to come and maybe explain. Like Joe gives us this report, I don't know how much of that's encumbered, how much of it isn't, and how much, when we get a report from the treasurer as to how much we got, that's really not how much we got.
It is not, yeah.
That's expendable, or what department is where we're, kind of where we stand. And I think that was part of why we had asked you to attend the meetings, to give us kind of an update on any of that stuff that's important. So I don't think that we need to sit here and go down the list and how about this, how about that. But if you could, briefly give us an overview of anything that's important or has red flags, it would be helpful, at least in what we're doing.
I don't know about red flags, but there is encumbered funds of about 70,000. That's your reserve. Outstanding accounts payable does not include some of these orders that you're signing off on tonight. So that would end up coming out of the balance that he gave you. Otherwise, I think everything's going okay. I know in the past you had trouble with the orders that you're signing, or that you just don't sign at all.
Well, we've got quite a few tonight. Well, majority.
So I'm not sure. I would rather see if you have a question and you don't want to sign off on a specific thing, that you take that off, but don't not sign the whole order so that we can't send the checks out to the other people. Cause that kinda holds up everything, especially if I can't answer a question or, if we could just take that off the bottom line.
Oh, good, then tonight be a good trial, 'cause it's
They usually do, and sometimes cherry pick it.
Okay.
Hopefully we can get that.
And that's fine. I mean, I know you have a lot of different orders, and when I do mine, I do one order, and everything is on there, except for payroll. Payroll is always separate, but all the bills are on one order, and it could be 3 pages long down here because of so many bills. But if you want to see it separated out like this, that's fine. It can stay that way. I tend to find it easier to find things and to look through things if it's all on one sheet. And if you want to take off 5 things out of 25, then you just mark them off. But that's entirely up to you.
Are we set for that audit, that Sylvie McCoy?
I have a list of things. They send along a list of everything that they're gonna need. And I get that together. It's 941. There's just probably 4 pages of stuff. And I will have that all together for them when they come down. Plus I will be accessible to them when they're here too. Because normally they want to make some changes and then run new reports, so.
And this is not yet, but Cynthia Davis has volunteered to put together the town report. Just so you know, she'll probably be looking for things, and I know Craig is still has on the website for anybody else interested in helping her. But just so you know that she has volunteered to do that.
Once the audit's done,
Then you'll be interacting, but I just thought I'd
yeah,
say that.
they'll have a whole report that will go into the town report. And if they're doing it in October, when do you go to the printer?
We'll go in 1st of January. They'll be done by the 1st of January.
So
The
their
biggest
report.
thing for the finance office is next year's budget. So the select board will hammer out a budget generally by December, second week of December.
So that should be okay.
Maybe earlier this year.
Okay. So do you have anything else? Kit?
No.
Okay. Then moving on to the warrants.
I would just, I'll just quickly add to what she said, that the 70,000 in reserves includes 25 for gravel crushing, but you'll get a bill for the gravel crushing at 50. That should be here within the next 10 days or so. And I haven't tallied the school payments, but you can figure about $500,000. Those will be coming in the third week by the third week of September, but I don't think Joe has.
Do we have the schedule yet?
I haven't seen
We
the
had a
actual.
Final cash flow.
I haven't seen the
won't
actual
come out
cash
until
flow on it, but you have to
September.
figure 490 to somewhere along in there will be coming in. But Joe's got a lot of taxes yet to collect this first round, being that they're not due for another week. They'll be coming in pretty well.
All right, then.
But with those two figured in, you've got $560,000 instead of
Joe,
32.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, that.
You're gonna pay the social? Okay.
Make a motion to approve check warrant report number 082301. Payroll in the amount of $11,415.78.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? I have.
Yeah, that's right.
I've got a whole page full of discussion here. Okay, on that payroll warrant, that was from 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And in looking through that, there are, I noticed, I went through the cards, the time cards, there are 5 mathematical errors on adding up the time cards. So I don't have the original sheet with that particular one, so I don't know exactly what happened or how, but that payroll did include 5 errors in the tally on the time cards.
Who asked it?
I'm not,
Viva Lane did that one.
she did that one. So, yeah, we're, even with the time clocks, there's still issues in the calculations, and they're not easy to read.
Could you address that maybe to?
I
don't know
think we
how
did,
to-
yeah, because you said go back on the punch in and one way or the other, back on the punch in and forward on the punch out, or,
It works in 8-minute intervals, but yeah. Okay, so that one, like I said, there were errors, and I think that is the one that I think you're right, that we did correct.
yeah, we
Pretty
did
sure we
correct.
did. That was the one that had all the sticky notes on it.
The previous meeting on the second, there were 5 errors. I brought them to your attention, and you and I worked on them. You got them all corrected before the payroll
Right,
went
that
in,
was-
because
yeah,
that was a
before I
Wednesday
did
you put,
payroll.
that was a Wednesday that you put that in. And then there were a couple of changes, and on that one, you didn't approve the payroll because of those changes. This one that went in was after the second, was whatever the time after the second was, that went in on Monday the 8th, I believe, and that would include, I guess, these ones.
Okay.
That would be
So
on
that,
the
those
8th,
are
and
the
then
same
Seven.
the 7th, Sunday. Yeah, we're close to Sunday, the
And I
7th.
did
Sorry.
payroll on the 10th, I believe, or the 8th.
I think it was the 8th.
Okay, so those were that
Because we didn't have
group
any
that we
other
put the,
nights.
put the sticky notes on.
But
Okay.
we did fix it.
Okay, so that one's good. So go ahead, Kyle, with the next one.
Could
we
I
have to
could I
vote
have that
on it.
number?
No.
And I need the number again.
You haven't signed it, so I pass it.
The number's 11,415.78.
11,415.78, okay.
All right, so the motion's on the table, and if there's no further discussion, all those in favor of paying payroll warrant 082301 in the amount of $11,415.78 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to approve check warrant report number 082302 payroll taxes in the amount of $4,763.65.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying payroll tax warrant 082302 in the amount of $4,763.65 signify by saying aye. Kyle? Oh, I'm sorry. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to approve check warrant report number 082303 payroll in the amount of $8,307.54.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Again, this is the most recent payroll. This is the payroll that hasn't gone out yet, is that correct? The one that's currently
Yep.
sitting,
Currently yesterday, yeah.
right, but it's going out
It's
for
printed,
this
the checks are
Friday.
printed in bulk.
Okay, again, going through the time cards, there are 3 errors in that.
This one is mine.
Oh, okay, there are 3 errors in that one. And I'm just wondering, they're not real critical errors. I'm wondering how difficult it would be to correct them.
I don't know what they are, so
Well, I could certainly sit down and go through it, but it's like, I don't remember who the people were.
There are 3, I don't think it's 2 hours altogether.
Yeah, I mean, they're.
It's not like the last one with the 5 that had it. but this one-
They're minuscule errors, but they are there.
Well, what is the errors coming just from adding up or
Yes.
not seeing the time card correctly or?
Both. Part of it is the time card. It is confusing to calculate the time card in your head, but it's also
Like
sometimes the addition on the page after
You
the
know,
time
how many
card's
hours
in.
is that?
Okay.
And so it gets very difficult to figure out how much time that is, there's no doubt about it. And errors are made. So anyway, we can,
Look at specifics.
Well, just,
But I don't have the
mean,
list
my
with me.
concern, I don't think that you should have to sit and redo them all, that's all.
well, there's not all of them that would have to be done, there's 3 of them.
No, I mean, I don't think that you should have to back check every, I think it's in the.
well,
in the book.
once I look at them and see what I did, then
Yeah.
I can.
Well, as soon as I can get my list together, I'll be happy to show you what they are.
Okay.
So this one in particular, Is there a motion on the table for that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Can we make that somehow subject to correction?
Contingent upon correction.
Because I don't, the dollar amount probably won't be right. I think it's gonna come close to equaling out, because one was under, one was over. Or two were over, one was, I don't remember. But, so how are we going to,
It has to fail, and then I have to make another motion.
okay, so,
No, if the maker of the
You can-
motion,
you can
maker of the
amend.
motion accepts the amendment, then we just make it an amendment. It is to pay, this warrant, payroll warrant, in the amount that, you're gonna give me here in a second. Contingent upon correction. Basically, it's already done, and if you fail it, everybody gets paid the checks that are involved. Contingent upon correction, she's gonna void one or two maybe,
right,
and fix it. So that's not a big deal. So I would just go ahead and use those numbers. Don't worry about it.
and just put the amendment
And-
on there
right.
as a
Yep.
pending corrections.
Yep.
Okay?
Keep
So,
it simple.
is there any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying payroll warrant 082303 in the amount of $8,307.54 pending corrections, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. I can't write and talk at the same time. That's not within my purview. All right. So that's gonna change the tax, it might change the taxes, won't it? That's gonna have to be pending.
If
I
one
don't think
goes
it's,
up,
I don't
one
think
goes
it's big
down.
enough to worry about.
So, okay. I know it's definitely a scale issue.
One up, two down, one up. Small.
Make a motion to approve payroll, make a motion to approve warrant, number 082304, payroll taxes in the amount of $3,332.45.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying payroll tax warrant 082304 in the amount of $3,332.45, signify by saying aye. Abstention? Okay, aye. All those opposed? Abstentions? The motion passes. I'm busy. Don't.
Make a motion to approve check warrant report number 082305 out of the general fund in the amount of
Right.
Yes,
$7,079 something cents.
It's
11. 91 cents. No,
It says 11.
no, it's not. 11 cents. Is that what this says? I was looking upside down.
what, me?
Kathy's got it.
It's my.
$7,079.11. And that was minus the Vermont Business Magazine subscription that was supposedly canceled but showed up.
Okay,
Got the pennies there, Kathy? 11? You going now?
it is 11.
Okay.
Is there a second to that?
Yeah.
Is there any discussion? Okay, just to reiterate what that was about, there was a renewal for a subscription to Vermont Business Magazine for $42.80 that a previous board had said, and the town clerk has said she no longer wanted. So that was removed. And quite frankly, the fact that you had to pay the 1% Burlington tax on that magazine made it even worse.
7% tax.
7%.
Figured in the subscription, we never pay tax.
So.
And a penny for Burlington, or 1% for Burlington.
So that
Sticks
was taken out of that warrant.
That's why we canceled it.
Another point, just a point for that particular warrant, the check that was written for the Superior Court is charged to the line for gazebo maintenance, and it should probably be select board legal.
Okay, I will move it. When the day I did the check, I don't know that anybody else was here, and I knew it was
Yeah.
part of the gazebo.
Yeah,
Actually-
well, you were close, it was gazebo, yes, but yes, it should probably be select board legal.
Okay, that's easy to move.
I got it, way back.
Make a motion to approve check warrant report number
You can pass it.
082306 out of the general fund in the amount of $41.68.
Well, is my writing really that bad?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, I'll just, again, the town clerk has requested that the renewal of the subscription fee or service fee for Two Wired Guys be held until she clarifies
Service contract.
what's going to happen So that's been removed from that warrant, leaving the 4168. So all those in favor of paying general fund warrant 082306 in the amount of $41.68, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to approve check warrant report number 082307 of the highway fund in the amount of $4,776.85.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion? I just want to note that our uniform contract is going up by $4.80 a week. And this is after signing a contract just a little over a year ago, I believe. That contract was signed, and this is like the second price increase.
They just keep increasing prices.
Yeah, even though there's a contract.
I think you may wanna look at giving the highway crew a clothing stipend. I know we go through this, and we've been through it and through
We
it.
used to spend $120 per
Yeah.
shot, and we canceled the contract, and they came back with we can do the same thing for a third as much or half as much. We signed up and we locked into a contract at what we thought was gonna be a fixed fee,
For 5 years.
$65.15 for 5 years. There's a little clause on page 28 of 40
Yeah.
that says they can change their prices anytime they want, and they've done it twice, and it's been just about a year. Creeps up.
So I just wanted to note it that is going up again. So,
Almost 10%.
Wonderful to do business with such
Almost-
outstanding
Almost
companies.
10%.
evidently. So is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying highway warrant 082307 in the amount of $4,776.85, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to approve check warrant report number 082308 out of the equipment fund in the amount of $1,448.62.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? This is the one that I did ask Kurt about, to clarify that bill. So,
And it is lacking that secondary charge. It just has the 700.
no, it's actually, if you add the two together, it's all there. Don't take my Kleenex.
What's gonna use it?
It is all there, it's confusing because it's actually not a bill, it's a fixed slip with a pay this amount on it, it's not the end of the month
Take it to
statement.
work with you, Mark.
But
Stop it.
it is correct the way it's typed in, it's confusing, but it is
Right.
after.
But anyway, that is
correct.
the correct amount of money, so. All those in favor of paying equipment warrant 082308 in the amount of $1,448.62, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. All right. Okay, we have no one to the public, already been there, done that. Correspondence. There is a packet here for anybody who wishes to look at it from the Vermont State Public Service Board with the proposed project for Mary Myers / integrated solar out in the field. Lacking a town plan at this point in time, we would have a very quiet voice.
We don't have a town plan? I thought there's one up for renewal, but isn't there one in effect now? It's not.
It
No, it
expired.
started in March, we're working on it again tomorrow night. It's almost done.
But anyway, this is just for information purposes more than anything.
You do have the 30 days to respond as of about a week ago. It's 138 kW at the Mary Myers factory. It is off of Route 30. It will be visible through a small window. They will be planting trees. Integrated Solar Brattleboro is the installer. And this is the application in front of the PSB.
Okay, is there any discussion on that? Then moving on to the health officer. The correspondence that we received, there was an inspection of a rental that was done, and an order the property owner has been, the landlord, instructed to make numerous corrections. And this person has been given 30 days to comply with 60 days as a final date for completion. The board at this point in time doesn't really need to do anything except acknowledge that we have received this from the health officer. And hopefully that's the last we'll hear of it. Is there any discussion or any questions on that? All right, then moving on. The hazard mitigation plan, there is available to us if we wish to take a look at it, a plan from Brookline for their local hazard mitigation piece. They're getting ready to approve it, and they're in the review phase. We've received notification as an abutting town, and we do have the right to comment on that. We've received notification from Alyssa Sabato to such, so if anybody is interested in looking through that plan, I believe Craig's got it
I have it
emailed.
electronically, but it is 60+ pages, and I didn't want to print it out. But anybody who wants it, I will print it or email it forward.
So that's just, again, for your information. And then lastly but not least, we received a card from Valley Cares, and it says, "Dear members of the Townshend Selectboard, Valley Cares wishes to thank you very much for allowing us the use of the Townshend Common for our recent benefit concert for Valley Cares. Luckily, the weather was perfect, and the concert was a great success. Thank you again, sincerely, Jean Olby, I think."
Yep.
Okay, so that's all the correspondence that I have. Then moving on to old business, the Gazebo court claim. We did in fact file with Superior Court, which is the discussion about the check earlier. We have received notification that the insurance company wishes to settle. They have asked that we sign off on a what is it? It's a release, but it's not. It's a
release non-disclosure statement.
It's not
Well, not
non-disclosure.
entirely non-disclosure, but it is a release. They will release the checks when you release the check. It's probably just easier to look at it. This indenture witnesses that the town of Townsend, in consideration of the sum of money, lawful money, the receipt whereof is hereby acknowledged, releases all claims for all physical property damages sustained in the January 22nd, 2016 vehicle accident that occurred at Vermont Route 30 in the city of Townsend, in the state of Vermont, whether such claims were or could have been presented to Amica Mutual Insurance Company under Amica Mutual Insurance Company policies in effect at the time of the accident. It is further understood that this payment is made in good faith to settle a disputed debt, and that the settlement does not constitute an admission of liability or fault related to the damages sustained to the property located at Vermont Route 30 in the city of Townsend, state of Vermont. So that's been signed and notarized and sent back. That will close out the court case, and we have a settlement.
We don't do we get a check.
We don't until we get a check, but that has gone back. The check should be promptly sent. They have a window.
Well, that's what they said before. So it's-
Well, yeah, this is a little more official.
Yeah, this was a lot more documented, a lot more formal.
Did they pay for the $90?
They did.
Oh, yeah. The check
You
amount
know,
will be,
administrative costs.
Yes.
yep, the check amount will be $3,615 for damages sustained in the above caption loss, which they will send with return of the property release, which Kathy assigned. We've sent back certified mail. So we did file in court on the 19th, 18th, 17th. We filed on the 17th. They received it on the 19th. They would basically have 30 days to muster defense and drive up from Providence. Meet a schedule, if there were a schedule. But anyway, when we get the check, we'll let the court know, and they can close this file, dismiss it.
Is there
Okay, so
any questions on that? All right, then moving
that was the right way to go.
on to the next, being the state audit. Did we update on that?
Oh, you're looking at me?
Well, you were the one
that
that-
was, that one was, yeah, I put it on the agenda, but that one was on Wednesday. And we got through it very easily. It was not that bad. Then they sent one person down from the state, and they reviewed the paperwork that we had put together, and we're, I don't know if we get anything from them or not. We certainly signed something that validated that they were actually here and working, but there were 5 highway department grants that they looked at. going back, a little over 3 years, and they looked at the wholesale lot of FEMA stuff, not very extensively, so. I don't think she was here for much more than an hour, but it was with some trepidation that they actually came and whatever. But anyway, they came, they went through, we had everything in order. And it was processed, and that closes that up, I hope, forever.
And I just wanna say, I wanna thank Craig for pulling all that paperwork together, because it involved going back through old minutes, and as I stated to Kurt, there was a lot involved with trying to pull pieces together, because they weren't together in a file. There was no rhyme or reason to it.
Yeah, now, hopefully.
It won't be that way anymore.
Together.
Absolutely. All right, then, what's the last thing here? We already did transfer station re-engagement. Is there any other business? No? Is there any need for an executive session? No? Then I would make note that the next meeting is September 13th at 6 o'clock.
Is there a rescue open house for select board members coming up before then?
Oh, yeah, when the heck is that?
I have a card.
Here.
I have a card in Rob's box.
Oh, it's in Rob's box. It's September 8th, at Rescue Quarters in Brattleboro. It's basically to have a discussion about the rates for the next fiscal year.
Which I'm sure are going down.
Not down. You paid for my new building?
I bet we will.
I'm paying for all the extortion.
Huh. Anyway.
One way or the other.
I mean, needless to say, I'll be there. Kyle will be there, so Townsend will be well represented, I'm sure. But yeah, for any of those who want an understanding of what the rates are based on, it should be an informative meeting. So if there's nothing else, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at, let's call it 7:45.
So moved.
Is there a second? We are adjourned then. Thank you all.